I am reading from the book Magic Words from Jonah Berger, and here I, rather than trying to understand their anxiety from their own vantage point, they were asked to take an outsider's perspective rather than referring to themselves using I or me. They were encouraged to talk to themselves like someone else would, using words like you, their name, or he or she instead. If the person's name was Jane, for example, she asked herself questions like, why does Jane feel this way? Why is she anxious about the speech? What are the causes and reasons for Jane's feelings? Participants read the instructions, took a minute to reflect on their feelings, and then went to another room to deliver their speech. Evaluators watched their speeches and graded them on a number of dimensions. The results were striking. Both groups of speakers had the same difficult experience. They were put into the same tough situation, giving a public speech, given the same minimal amount of time to prepare, and given the same 5 minutes to think about their feelings before giving their speech. The only difference was whether they talked to themselves in the second or third person rather than first person. Whether they asked themselves things like, why are you so upset? Rather than, why am I so upset? But using different words had a big effect on performance. Compared to normal self talk, words like I or me, taking an outsider's perspective, that is, using one's own name or words like you, helped people give better speeches. They were more confident, less nervous, and performed better overall. This linguistic shift helped people distance themselves from the difficult situation and see it more like an outsider would. People who took the normal I focused approach would say things like, oh my god, how am I going to do this? I can't prepare a speech in 5 minutes without notes. It takes days for me to prepare a speech. But using their first names or words like you or he or she encouraged them to think like an outsider and see the situation more positively rather than complaining or stressing themselves out even more. It encouraged them to provide support and advice. Jane, you can do this. You have given a ton of speeches before. Outsider language helped speakers see things more objectively, making the situation less anxiety inducing. They felt fewer negative emotions and appraised the situation in more positive terms, more as a challenge than that they could cope with or rise up to meet, rather than a threat that they felt unprepared for or overwhelmed by. And similar effects have been found in other domains, whether choosing food or considering a health scare. Shifting away from first person language encouraged better outcomes by distancing people from the situation. It led them to choose healthier food or focus on the facts. By encouraging people to think about themselves as an outsider would, shifting language made them better off. The same principle can be applied to a host of situations. Practicing positive self talk, for example, helps athletes perform better. Professional athletes often imagine success, practice multiple scenarios, or even repeat a mantra during training. When trying to pump themselves for the competition, for example, athletes often tell themselves, you can do it, saying I can do it can feel a, can feel a bit forced, but taking an outsider's perspective feels more natural and maybe easier to apply. Know when to use you. More generally, the self talk research highlights when pronouns like you are useful and when they are likely to backfire. A few years ago, a multinational tech company asked me to analyze its social media posts to figure out what was working and what was not. After doing text analysis on thousands of posts, we found that using you increased readers' engagement. Posts that use the word you or other second person pronouns say your or yourself were liked more and received more comments. The company started adjusting its social media strategy as a result, using more of these words in their posts and seeing a nice increase in subsequent engagement. Thank you. That's it for the day.